Hi, this is Emily Unke, and I am presenting on Johann Carl Friedrich Gauss. He was known as the Prince of Mathematicians. He was known as that through the end of his lifetime, and he's still referred to as that today. E.T. Bell, in his book Men of Mathematics, really emphasizes how Gauss was indeed the Prince of Mathematicians because of all of his many contributions to the field. He was a child prodigy. He was born to an illiterate mother and a father who didn't want him to go to school. His father was into manual labor and wanted Gauss to follow suit, but luckily his mom wanted him to have a good education and sent him off. There are many stories of Gauss's early childhood. One is that he taught himself to read and calculate by age 3. He was his father's bookkeeper by age 5. And by using pairs of numbers, he found the sum of 1 to 100 when he was 7 years old, and from then on, his teachers realized how good of a mind he was. And he was already in secondary school by age 11. His personal life: he was born in Brunswick, Germany, and he was seemingly a religious man. He was quoted to say, "Finally, I succeeded, not on account of my hard efforts, but by the grace of the Lord." He was married twice and outlived both wives. He had 5 total children, 2 with one wife and 3 with the other. And towards the end of his life, his health began to fail. He had a couple diseases, but didn't suffer. And then he died peacefully in his sleep at age 77 in Göttingen, Hanover, which is now modern-day Germany. He made many contributions to mathematics in tons of different fields. The top picture on the right shows his construction of a regular polygon with 17 sides using a compass and a straight edge. And this was thought to be impossible before Gauss achieved it. And this was also what really sparked Gauss's love for mathematics and caused him to devote his life to the field. He found a distinct pattern in the occurrence of prime numbers, which before that were thought to be completely random. He proved the fundamental theorem of algebra, and he worked on that proof, or at least revisited it, for 50 years of his life. And we owe a lot of thank you to Gauss for doing that, because without that, there would be a lot we couldn't do or wouldn't know is true. He also worked with geometry, and he found Gaussian curvature, which is the bottom picture on the right. He discovered the Cauchy integral theorem in his work with calculus. He didn't publish that work, so he didn't get the credit, but we see later in his diary that he left behind that he did indeed discover it first. He also worked with the least squares method, the Gauss-Jordan elimination method for matrices, the bell curve for normal distribution in statistics, and he proved that every number is a sum of at most 3 triangular numbers. He also invented a couple things outside of mathematics. He invented the heliotrope and the electric telegraph, and he also worked a lot with electromagnetism, and even a unit of measurement is called the Gauss, named after him. Within number theory, he worked a lot. This was his favorite of subjects within the field of mathematics. He exposed complex numbers, and he looked at real and imaginary numbers graphically. Before this, imaginary numbers were heard of, but the concept was not really grasped, and imaginary numbers weren't respected in the field of mathematics yet, until he did this. And without his work on real and imaginary numbers, we still might not respect imaginary numbers and realize their necessity and significance. He also worked with modular arithmetic a lot, and congruence relations, and he called it clock arithmetic because he focused on the fact that you can call 1 o'clock, but then it also comes around 13 o'clock is 1 o'clock at the same time, and that's shown in the bottom right picture. His motto was few but ripe, so he was really a perfectionist. His work had to be perfect before he could publish it. And even with that motto, he still published over 150 works. And later, a diary of his was found that showed just how much he actually worked on, and there was a lot that he would have gotten credit for if he had just published the work, but he wouldn't do it unless he thought it was ready and perfect. He was quoted to say that mathematics is the queen of the sciences, and the theory of numbers is the queen of mathematics. And here are my sources. I didn't use men of mathematics that much, except for to kind of see the respect that E.T. Bell had for Gauss, and that anyone in the mathematical field should have for Gauss. The other three sources are online sources, and I used each pretty much the same amount, got a little bit of information from each one. The bottom source, The Story of Mathematics, was the one where I got most of the pictures from, and that one was probably my most valuable source. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a little bit about Johann Carl Friedrich Gauss.